A mood horror video, some ordinary gamer. Insane Power and Nintendo lawsuit update. So, I'm gonna explain first.
Hello, guys.
Okay. I'm gonna explain first what happened. So, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company sued Palworld for, patent infringement. Now, when people thought they were going to sue them for, the designs, that did not happen. Fun. Now, how did this happen? They patented the system of catching something and riding animals. I'm not kidding. They patented that system, which means nobody else can now use it. Well, nobody in Japan at least. Unfortunately, Pocket Pair, I think they're called. They are a Japanese company. You know how dangerous this is? If they do in fact win, that means that, for example, Skyrim could, or like Bethesda could copyright or patent using swords in combat, for example. That's how bad this could get, which is why Pocket Pair has to win this. Because if they don't, this can only get worse. I'm curious how bad it is now.
Guys and gals, me Mudahar, and there's an insane update to that Palworld Nintendo lawsuit. Now, I told you after I looked at this thing like 4 months ago, I was going to be keeping an eye on it. And today, there's been some pretty massive updates, and it's to a point where we now know exactly why.
Palworld is big. Yeah, Palworld is really fun. It is really fun. The Pokemon Company's 100% doing this to bully Palworld. I made a video covering how close Palworld got to Pokemon sales numbers compared to other monster taming games. Palworld did amazing. Palworld did amazing. They said themselves they did not expect the success of Palworld, and it's also really fun. It is really fun. It is really fun. What's better, Pokemon or Palworld? I would say Pokemon could be better because they have the money for it. It could be better. I would say everything pre-Generation 6 of Pokemon is better than Palworld. I would say everything after Generation 5 is worse than Palworld. Nintendo doesn't even fully own Pokemon, only 32% that Nintendo owned. I think it's shared by three companies: Nintendo, Game Freak, and Creatures Inc. Nintendo copyrighted someone's face once, if I'm not mistaken. What the heck? You gotta wear a mask now. That face is owned by Nintendo.
Why Nintendo is taking down the old Palworld train. Now, to give an idea, Palworld is an independent game that was released about a year ago by Pocket Pair, and it's effectively a game that is just literally Pokemon with guns, okay? And to give you an idea of how much of a, comparison it is, Nintendo may use the statement I just gave in an actual legal case. Because quite literally, if you play Palworld, it is just the Pokemon IP with guns attached to it. Now, it's not to say it's a bad thing. Plenty of
I don't know about you, but what the fuck happened to Arceus? It's so bland. You mean Legends Arceus? Playing it, I still had a lot. I had more fun than with the previous games. I have to admit. I would have liked Palworld more if it didn't have any survival parts and it had an actual story. I'm a shiny hunting addict, so when I hear that there's shiny monsters, I get a stroke and I need to start working. I need to get to work and shiny hunt everything that there is. That's just how it is. Um Nintendo, as soon as they see someone name their son Luigi, they get nuked, the Nintendo ninjas are coming. Um I also found it horrible that they always try to take down emulators. Hated, hated. Like I can understand if you have something against I can understand if you have something against emulating new games, like let's say The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. You know, no issue with that. If you say, "Hey, no, do not emulate that. It's a new game." But dude, if I want to emulate Pokemon Ruby, what's the harm in that? That game is nowhere available. You are not seeing any money of that. Yeah, Palworld needs a lot of power. I agree with that, especially if you want to play it in like ridiculous settings. Palworld's better than Pokemon for some reason. Pal number 69. You mean Lovander? True.
People enjoyed it, me included, plenty of other gamers out there, plenty of other content creators. It is, in fact, a game that now has come out on PlayStation, Xbox, and people are just actually enjoying it. Now, with
Sure, I'm gonna tell you that, right? I love doxing myself. Would love to do that.
all of the people enjoying Palworld, it's no doubt in my mind that obviously it is pretty close to Pokemon, okay? I mean, you've got some similar looking mons, you've got the entire concept of us throwing Pal balls at Pokemon and capturing them with, shakes, 3 shakes, guaranteed capture, and whatnot. So obviously, Pokemon has been making games with kind of similar, mechanics, like the Arceus Legend game, and even like the new Pokemon Violet Scarlet with like its more open world design. Even though the open world looks like it's straight out of 2002, but hey, that's a whole different story. Now here, Pocket Pair comes out and it's like, boys, on September 19th, Pokemon Company and Nintendo files a patent infringement lawsuit. Now, a patent infringement lawsuit is basically some type of gameplay or technology that has been discovered by any company that has effectively been patented, so only they, for a certain period of time, can use that technology in their video games. So, details of the lawsuit. The plaintiff claims that Palworld, released to us on January 19, 2024, infringes, well, actually, it wasn't even a year ago. I actually thought it was a year ago. Time does fly. Infringes upon the following 3 patents held by the plaintiffs, and they're seeking an injunction against the game and compensation.
I find it horrific that you can patent game mechanics. I think the Nemesis system, was it called? That was used in the Lord of the Rings Shadows of War. That is also patented. It is crazy.
For a portion of the damages incurred between the date of registration of the patents and the date of filing of this lawsuit. So, if you look at the actual patents over here real quick, they've got 3 different patents, number 7545191, 7493117, and 7528390. Now, I've pulled up.
Now the thing is, the thing is that this wouldn't be as scummy if these patents were already there before. But they secured these patents after the release of Palworld. They did this specifically because of Palworld. They did this specifically to harm Palworld. That is the only reason why they did it. Nintendo have some leverage. They're in Japan. Yeah. The thing is, like, they have nothing like copyright, right? Like free use and stuff. They don't have those same rules. Which means that if they can do it, they can always do it in Japan. The problem is that what happens if they're doing it here, like other companies, like I don't know, Halo Studios copywriting laser guns and stuff. I'm surprised Nintendo hasn't tried to raise all Metroidvanias that I know of. Japan's fair use is different from US fair use. Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Each one of these patents, but they also provided the application dates and, of course, the registration dates. So if you look carefully at these dates, they're past, the actual game's release. So you might be like, whoa, how the fuck can you patent something after the game that you're suing has been released, okay? How can you patent something after it and then sue them for damages before the filing of that patent? Well, to give an idea, I've pulled up each and every single one of those patents real quickly. So right over here, you can basically Google this up on Google Patents, and they'll tell you every single one of these available. Now, if you look very carefully, they've actually been patents that have been applied as of 2021. So each 3 of these patents has an actual application in.
Similar to Toei, they also copyright videos that involve Dragon Ball characters and One Piece characters. They also like to do that, yes. Yes, they do that.
In 2021, where the legal status is active for all of them. So these are more patent updates, I believe, rather than like fresh new patents. If these were fresh from the actual patent oven, then obviously we would probably look at this and say Nintendo's just overextending. But clearly they had these in place. So I wanted to look at some of these actual patents real quick and look at exactly what Nintendo is going for. So for instance, in patent JP754519-1B1, it's going for a game program, game system, game device, or a game processing method, okay? So the abstract. The problem is to provide a game program, game system, game device, and game processing method that can cause a player character to perform various types of actions on a field in a virtual space. In a first mode, the aiming direction of the virtual space is determined based on the second operation input, and the player character is caused to fire an item that affects a field character arranged on the field in the aiming direction based on a third operation input. It sounds kind of confusing in a way, so they provided some visual explanations for this entire scenario, right? And obviously, if you look at these patents, it's kind of what people speculated back in September, right? They were probably going for the whole Pokeball situation, which is where your character gets ready in the wild, throws the actual Pokeball at the field character, which is a Pokemon in the wild, captures said Pokemon with that actual Pokeball, right? They even get like a little...
Yeah, it's literally the catching system itself that has been copyrighted. It is insane. Is Palworld made from Japan? Yup, it is. Which means the it will be in Japanese court, and chances are Nintendo has never lost a lawsuit. Never. They rarely lose. I think I think there's like 1 or 2 instances where they lost, but they rarely lose. And I don't think they're gonna lose here as well. Though I wonder if the situation is different because the patent was made after Palworld released. Grab some soap and all. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Visual response that says, "Good job, pal, you did it!" Or the Pokemon escapes and you're basically fucked. So obviously, the further you go down this patent too, we're looking at even battles that are happening in the wild and Pokemon that appear to also be on your side. And of course, the further we go down into this scenario, you can start to look at other actual situations. So then you look at the other patents in this case, right? Which again, simulating properties, behavior, or motions of objects in the game world. For example, computing tire load in a car race game using determination of contact between the game characters or objects to avoid collision between virtual racing cars. And for the next one over here, obviously we've got computing the motion of game characters with respect to other game characters, game objects, or elements of a game scene, for simulating the behavior of a group of virtual soldiers, or for pathfinding, basically, I guess, bots that appear to follow you in the field, your player character, so you can have a Pokemon effectively trail you. Now, the way that I have seen these kind of provided is like, if you want to even apply these to like actual gameplay terms and not legal patent terms, basically it appears that you're talking about throwing a Pokeball into the wild to capture another Pokemon or field character. That's one of the actual patents. The other one is throwing a character outside into the wild so they can then participate in the fight. And of course...
Wait. That's new information. So the throwing out So we can't have pets in games anymore when they're from Japan? I guess not. When they're from Japan, I guess not. I can't capture a monster. I can't use it, throw it out of whatever I caught it in. And I can't ride on it. What? Pet sim games rip. Everything that's just similar to Pokemon is dead. When it comes, if it comes out of Japan. Yeah, they patent the monster following you as well. Yeah, it is insane.
Of course, last but not least, apparently even mounting a character for specific zones.
Yeah, but we all know how you meant it. We all know how you meant it. There's no defense. You can't ride captured monsters now. Rip Monster Hunter. Pretty much. Wait. Rest in peace, Monster Hunter stories. Rest in peace, Monster Hunter stories, because you can write on them. And they follow you. It is crazy. Guess no Monster Hunter Stories 3 here, I guess.
So if you wanted to fly on the back of a Pokemon, you can do that in the wild. Now, I think patents in video games are a little absurd. Okay, the first two, throwing a Pokeball and using it in the wild, I'm sure Pokemon probably has some claim to that, or maybe they can talk really heavily. But mounting a character and like using it for transportation, I mean, dog. This is something that World of Warcraft provides its gamers like every single day. They've been doing it long before Pokemon even had the idea in 3D space. So at this moment in time, to me, it seems like a lawsuit that's targeting a smaller company. And I'm sure that if they really had a problem with this, they might even consider taking Activision Blizzard or Microsoft. Until you realize that Microsoft is worth like over 10 times what Nintendo is, and even Activision Blizzard is no small company to go up against when it comes to lawsuits. So again, it really feels like we're targeting the small fries here. So again, when it came to the summary of
Capcom is a big company too. They might not let that slide from Monster Hunter Stories. I hope not. I hope not. I loved Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2. I put so much time into Monster Hunter Stories 2. It is crazy. Like creating that perfect build for a monster. I was addicted to that game. I can say that if I started playing it today again, I get addicted again. This is such a good monster taming game. It is crazy.
The claim, what they seek for is a payment of 5 million yen plus to the Pokemon Company and also to the Nintendo Company. Now that's around $45,000 like Canadian. So again, multiply that by 2, you're looking at like maybe I want to say 60,000 American, 65,000 around that point. And you might be like, that's really not a whole lot of money. Surely Palworld has made more than that. They clearly have. And the thing is, it's not even the money that's the important part. It's this, an injunction against Palworld. Now, because these are two Japanese corporations that are going against each other, an injunction could mean a lot of things. They could literally go up to Palworld and say, hey, listen, that whole like throwing the Pokeball mechanic, we want it gone. And that would be kind of devastating because it's an incredibly important part of the Palworld game. Like imagine if, Konami, when they were releasing Metal Gear, decided to, patent the idea of field of vision cones. Like imagine the Soliton radar system with like all of the actual points, like the actual, cone of visions on people. Imagine if they patented that.
Imagine if Sparking Zero patented arena fighters. Imagine that.
And, you had other game developers jump in, like stealth action game developers, people like Splinter Cell, they're like, we want to put in a map with cones of visions, and they decided, no, we want all of this gone. Imagine if you were actually targeting situations similar to it. I mean, it would be absurd, but when you kind of really think about it, it's pretty comparable to what Nintendo has done in this scenario. Now, obviously, Palworld, they're going to fight this through legal proceedings, and I think the actual first case is going to be like next week. which is going to be insane to witness. Obviously, I want to converse with Japanese lawyers that probably know more about the situation as it happens. Obviously, I'm talking about like the translation issues, just because this is a Japanese case and having it translated basically in real time is a pretty daunting task. Now, again, anything legal that I've said in this video, I don't want it to constitute as actual advice.
I wonder how this is. If Palworld loses, if Palworld loses, this is gonna be a hard hit for the monster taming genre. This is gonna be a hard hit.
Or understanding. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm a cybersecurity guy. Clearly, this is incredibly complex Japanese patent law, and whether Nintendo wins or not, it's entirely up in the air. Obviously, Nintendo is one of the biggest companies in Japan, and I'm sure that comes with a bit of legal favoritism in its regard. But look, this is a situation that, from what Nintendo is showing, is just, it appears literally to be bullying. Now, obviously, Nintendo, in my opinion, I think they're bullying these guys, but clearly, Palworld Pocket Pair knew they flew way too close to the sun on this one, okay? Like, it's one thing to make a ripoff of like a Legend of Zelda type game, it's another thing to go after the throat of Pokemon, one of the biggest media franchises in gaming, if not the world. So yeah, this is not something that I expected. It's not something that I didn't expect to see. It's glad that we've got some light shed on what the actual patents were. And now that we know, it just shows Nintendo as one of the pettiest fucking companies.
The thing is, like, I don't know. If you like, if you're that petty to go after a smaller company because they are able to emulate with success what you can't, maybe instead of suing the company, it's time to step up your game. Remember, the Switch is not the problem why Scarlet and Violet runs bad. We have Xenoblade Chronicles, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, 3, and we're gonna have a remastered version, a definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles X. You cannot tell me that Scarlet and Violet have to look the way they do now. I could definitely imagine Nintendo looking at the judge like, "Come on, bro, we gave you red and blue. Do us a solid," leaving out the part about running an entire genre of games. Pretty much, ruining. Yeah, it pretty much is.
Companies in this regard. And look, if they're hitting so specifically, it explains why Nintendo hasn't even touched, other publishers or other games like Temtem in this case, even though they also kind of ape that Pokemon dynamic. It's because
That's because they don't have the balls to do it. They don't have the balls to go up against somebody who has similar amounts of money.
they literally felt that at least in two of the patents, it's pretty damn close. But if we're talking about mounting animals, why are we not mad at World of Warcraft? Hell, to be honest, why are we not mad at World of Warcraft for even the battle pets mechanic, which was introduced well after Pokemon was already patenting it, from my understanding? Is it that they don't want to take...
I mean, I can't really insult you being single, because then I just also insult myself. True and real. That is true. I actually disagree with Murahara here. I disagree. Because would it be bad? Would it be as bad if, like, they had the patent for that before? No. They made this specifically after Palworld released, so they can specifically go after Palworld. That is the only thing that they try to do. It doesn't matter how close it is. It's the idea that they did this specifically to take out Palworld, to take out the competitor. That's what makes it so scummy. Now, the developer worked hard on Scarlet. They've worked day and night to make a spaghetti code for the game so it can run for you. We don't need optimization because the devs listen to DEI. The funny part is that when we talk about DEI, the Pokemon Company has hired a DEI person. We are getting DEI in Pokemon soonish enough.
take on Microsoft's legal team because they know that's absolutely a lengthy battle that Nintendo probably doesn't want to add to their actual expense sheet? Or is it going after Pocket Pair to make an example out of a smaller developer trying to, work with these ideas? And, even to like Pocket Pair, they're not people that will sit down and tell you, we made this game, completely independent of like Pokemon's inspiration. I mean, these people literally produced a game they thought would be an amazing, combination. Pokemon with guns. Clearly it was. It sold a lot. And so I guess Nintendo missed out on the gravy train, and boom, now they want to actually punish the people that are providing the fans, the ex fans of Pokemon, I guess.
Do I consider myself an X fan? I still love Pokemon, but I'm not really playing that much new Pokemon anymore. I really just play ROM hacks at this point in fan games.
Or people that want, the Pokemon company to actually produce good games. They're going after people that are providing the gamers with what they want, which I think is just absurd. Honestly, reading all of this and realizing patents in general for video gaming, it just comes across as some of the most destructive shit. It's literally preventing actual progress in gaming from kind of happening, in my opinion.
Oh god, the focusing of the camera, holy. It will massively harm the creative development in video games. Because this is just the start.
When you talk about like evil corpo shit, this is literally what it is. And I think, to be honest, like another reason why I feel Nintendo really went after them is kind of because of, Pocket Pair's insistence on working with Sony, another direct competing, console manufacturer in the region. I'm not even including Microsoft in this because really Nintendo is going up against Sony, and I think honestly it feels like kind of a slight. It's like Sony has literally taken this mature version of Pokemon and have turned it kind of into their household name, at least from the.
Yeah, Sony has it now. And it's interesting to see. Maybe they're trying to take it out before Sony gets a hold of it. Maybe that is the reason.
Association business wise. So I feel like there's a lot of stuff at play here. And to be honest with you, it's just kind of gross to see corporations kind of doing this in the way that they do it. I always think that when it comes to competition, producing the better quality, the most, the prized game that people actually want to go for should be the standard. And yes, Palworld flew way too close to the sun. But I honest to God don't believe that the market that is playing Pokemon with guns, it really is a missed opportunity by Nintendo. It really just feels like salty stuff. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Muda.
We can't just like go on this entire thing to one word. Sold. These motherfuckers at Nintendo, Game Freak and Creatures Inc. are so salty because I don't think that Nintendo by themselves can start a lawsuit. I think they still need like the permission of the other two. These motherfuckers are salty as hell. But yeah, now we know Palworld is potentially doomed, and with Palworld being doomed, the monster taming genre in general might be doomed.